Going into this, there's actually a lot of background info for you to know. Astral is probably the most difficult player to talk about, rank-wise. If you ever played him, you knew that he had the potential to be one of the best players ever, period. It felt like no matter who he was playing, he was destroying them and making a few clips at the same time. This kind of ability made him, in everyone's eyes, clearly the best Falcon. His reputation and ability meant that he had to have some good tournament results, right? Well, actually, he had just about no results. He wouldn't enter any big name tournaments and usually only entered tournaments in his region if enough players harassed him. In these tournaments, he always placed high or won the whole thing straight up, so why wouldn't he want to test his skill in the bigger tournaments? We all knew he had the skill to do it, and his connection was just fine with the people from the United States. So why? Well, I asked, and his response? Fear. This is the sole difference between friendlies and tournament. You can lose as many games as you want in friendlies with no consequences. Nobody will call you bad, and you don't lose anything. However, in tournaments, everything changes. You fear getting called bad, and you know if you lose, you'll have to wait weeks for another opportunity. This stuff can make people play shaky, less confident, and in general bad. And sadly, all this gets multiplied when you have a good reputation to bat. Now you suddenly have something to lose. You are expected to win and only drop games to people better than you. It's honestly a tough thing for people to get over. His first tour back, he got a respectable 9th place, only losing to AK and Velo. Not too shabby for your first run back. However, the next tour he entered would be one of the most unexpected runs ever. Astral was only seeded 8th for the lack of tournaments he entered, which would mean that he would have a slightly harder bracket than those with the better seed. Astral's first match was against Bobby, an upcoming Simon main. Astral was definitely the favorite to win. And when he did, with the double 3 stock to boot. Off to a good start. Round 1 was over and it was off to the next round. This match was already being affected by the poor seed, who was up against HyperMania, a dual Sonic and Pichu main who's incredibly good. Running into him round 2 was a pretty rough draw, but what's done is done and they would need a play. Game 1, Hyper brought out his Pichu, which was a pretty obvious pick. Pichu is known for having an easy time punishing Falcon, while Falcon has little to no options against Pichu. And this was reflected pretty hard throughout the first match. Astral was not able to get anything started, and Hyper took a 3 stock victory. It was looking pretty bleak for Astral fans at this point. There was no way Falcon could win that matchup, and Astral thought the same. He switched to Fox? Which nobody expected. Astral is pretty much a Falcon and Ganon player only, so something so random was unexpected. But anyway, Fox has a much better punish, and it was actually working out. He took game 2 with 2 stocks, showing that he's not heading to lose his bracket just yet. Both players needed one more win to proceed in bracket, and Astral had the momentum. Then game 3 started, and it was suddenly Fox Sonic. Hyper pulled out his second main, and for those of you who don't know, this matchup can be devastating for Fox. If you are ever off stage, you have to be in fear for your life. Now, Astral is in a bad spot. Hyper mained Sonic, and Astral didn't main Fox, so clearly Hyper was gonna have much more experience in this matchup. And as the match played out, it got to last stock, with both players basically at the same percent. And then Fox went off stage. A very tough loss in round 2 meant that he was going to have to enter loser's bracket way earlier in bracket than he was expecting. This would also mean he would need to take 9 sets in a row to win the entire tournament. Astral's next match would be up against Heatnova, another Sonic player, but this time Astral was playing Falcon and also warmed up for the matchup. He went on to take both matches very decisively and move on to his next match. Now he would have to play VaporeyeZ, a Yoshi main and also a YouTuber, go check him out. Anyway, Astral was still the favorite in the player head-to-head and the matchup. Astral took the first match with 2 stocks, and even after Vapor switched to the much better matchup of Lloyd Falcon, Astral still came out on top. Alright, so next match should be the last easy one, then... Why is JMI in losers? JMI was the 2nd seed in this tournament, and also a favorite to win the whole thing, so seeing him so early on is beyond rough. Regardless, he's a Bowser main, and the Falcon Bowser matchup basically all comes down to who's playing better that day, so Astral wasn't out of the running just yet. Game 1 started, and Astral was hitting his confirms, and JMI wasn't. It even ended in SD for a 3-stock victory for Astral. JMI was clearly playing off, and it was looking like Astral was gonna take this easily. JMI then switched to DK the next game, which was a pretty smart option. DK has a much simpler neutral game against Falcon, and basically the same punish. So JMI could squeeze out some lucky games and possibly beat Astral. In the end, JMI kept it close, but Astral was able to take the set with the gentleman knee to seal it. Astral was able to take out one of the best players in the tournament and made his way into top 8, but still had a ways to go. Next would be Godly, an Ichigo player. Godly is pretty infamous throughout the competitive scene. Yo, just as an editor's note, everything I'm about to say about Godly was months ago when this tour happened, and I would say most of the community has changed their opinion on him in that time. Really an interesting player and honestly deserves his own video. He enters pretty much everything and plays pretty well most of the time, usually just out of top 8. He also has wins over some pretty good players. However, even with these results, many people still consider him bad due to his playstyle. Funny enough, this makes him one of the best tournament players for his skill level. People fear playing him because they'll get clowned on if they lose, though they end up playing a lot worse than they actually are. But this is also a really important match for Astral. He said before that fear kept him back from competing, so will it affect him here? Match 1 starts, and Godly instantly SDs. Regardless, Godly takes one right back and it's even. They both kept it really close till Astral got down to stock. At this point, Astral decided enough was enough and absolutely teared Godly apart. Clearly, Astral wasn't letting the pressure get to him. Game 2 begins, and Astral has much less luck this time around. Godly gets many more of his signature edge guards, and Astral loses. They both needed 2 wins in order to advance in the bracket, but Astral was determined to win. The next 2 matches, Astral took a lead and never let it go, taking the set 3-1 against Godly. Astral's next match would be against AK, not only a Link main, but the best Link main and the #1 seed. Remember when I was talking about Astral's last tour? This is one of the people who knocked him out, so this was Astral's runback. This head-to-head was also a rough one. Falcon Link is not the greatest matchup for Falcon. However, I will always say, Falcon can win any matchup he wants to, so long as he hits all of his punishes. And Astral does just that. Game 1 starts off pretty horribly, with Astral only dealing 24% his first stock. Luckily, he starts to pick up the pace and gets a hang of the matchup, taking a stock right back. Each player was keeping it really close until AK's second stock. Astral takes the lead with an amazing bomb combo. And then AK loses his last stock to an unfortunate SD. Game 2's first interaction sums up this entire matchup in general. Astral takes some rough hits and dishes it back tenfold. To call the rest of this match Astral favored would be a huge understatement. He took stock after stock until AK decided that it was time for the next game, giving Astral a 4-stock victory over the #1 seed. All Astral needed was one more game, and this game was insane. Astral was up 3 stocks with nothing to stop him. Unfortunately, the idea that you are so close to winning can hurt you in the end. Once you are this far ahead, losing can be terrifying, and this leads to Astral's first SC. And the fear did end up getting to him, giving AK a 3-stock comeback. It was important for Astral to clear his mind and not let that game get to him. He was winning all of the other games, including that one, so he just needs to close it out. Astral went into game 4 and did exactly what he's been doing. He took that game without any fear and moved on to his next set, taking out the #1 seed and the man who took him out last tournament. His next match would be up against Lil Natey, who was a former pit main before his awful nerfs and is now a Lloyd main. He took a little break for a while, so he was obviously gonna be a little rusty. Regardless, this would be a horrible matchup for Falcon, and again, it would be Operation Better Punish. Game 1 was close, but Astral was able to take it by a hair, and the same goes for game 2, but Natey took the match. The last games, however, it looked like Astral definitely adapted, and Natey's rust and character inexperience was showing. Astral was keeping up with his consistent punish, and Natey was struggling to kill an edge guard. Astral was taking big leads and took both games very decisively, even ending the whole set with the Falcon Punch. He was looking unstoppable and only needed one more match to make it to Grand Finals. And how fitting is it that this match was going to be against the man who took him down last tournament. Velo, a Walu main, was Astral's final barrier, and Astral tore straight through it. This whole set, Velo could not keep up with Astral's consistency, and it led to his demise every single game they played. It was like Astral was powering up as the set went on. He even broke Velo there for a little bit. With the losers bracket out of the way, there was still one more person he had to beat. His match was against a Luigi player named Rage. It was a good matchup for him, and Rage was never that well known for being great versus Falcon. Game 1 started, and the whole time Rage looked lost. It was looking like Astral had it in the bag. A 2-stock victory in Grand Finals was a lot. Going into Game 2, nobody could root against Astral. And it was completely justified. He took it with no problems and a 2-stock victory. It was looking like Astral was gonna be the winner undoubtedly. However, Game 3 was a little different. And when I say different, I mean slower. Everyone up to this point has been trying to beat Astral at his own game. They would try to out-punish him and it never worked. Rage, on the other hand, would try something else. He would try to stop Astral's speed with fireballs to force him to play his own game. And it worked as he took Game 3. Rage adapted to Astral's playstyle, and now Astral had to do the same or he'd lose. And what do you know? He does it straight out the gates in Game 4. The first set was now over, and both players were on the same footing. Whoever won the set would be the tournament champion. And with Astral's new adaptation to the matchup, he wasn't gonna lose. Astral won the tournament from an early loss, taking 10 games total, and clearly showed to everyone he was a top player. But now he had to look towards the future. And the only way we could know his plans is by asking him. Sup, Astral? How you doing?
Hello, I am good. I promise.
Astral, we have a couple of questions for you about your tournament run. Okay, first of all, though, do you have anywhere that the people can find you? Like a Twitter or YouTube or anything like that?
I do have a Twitter, but I mostly just post nonsense in there. But like maybe I post a few stupid clips. Like I posted this one video where it was just me and other Falcon mains doing the same thing. But I do have a YouTube. I've been making combo videos for a while, and I want to.
Some of the best combo videos ever, man. Definitely putting that in the description. People can find you below. Okay, another thing, just obviously, how did you feel winning, man? Like, I remember winning my first thing, and I was just ecstatic for like a week. How did you feel?
It felt it's a weird feeling because mostly when I win, when like I get a win, because of like how my mindset works, I don't feel like necessarily happy about it, if that makes sense. It's like in my mind I did what I had to do, and it's like I just did what I should have done since the beginning. So it didn't feel, I wasn't like ecstatic about it or like really excited about it, but like it felt right finally winning my first somewhat big event in the North American scene.
That's another thing that's really interesting when it comes to you. You said that a big reason that you didn't enter tournaments was that you were afraid to play. So could you elaborate a little on your mentality when it comes to the whole tournament scene in general?
My mentality, in short, it's really convoluted, but the way that it kind of works is that first of all, when it comes to like succeeding in tournament or even in matches, my mind works this way. Like me winning in my mind is just what I should do.
Really?
So yeah. So yeah, so like me winning, it's not much, it's not like a privilege.
Oh my God.
It's more of like what I need to do, basically.
So you're basically either neutral or sad.
Yes.
That's depressing.
Well, it's not necessarily just neutral or sad, but like sometimes when I win, I'm like, yeah, I did it.
But not much more than that.
Yeah, exactly.
Even after all that, do you plan on entering anything else? The way it sounds, probably not. It doesn't sound too enjoyable for you, but you know, even if not, are there any future plans?
With tournaments, I have this weird kind of relationship with them where it's like I really want to compete sometimes, but the moment I get to, it's not what I expected.
Bro, that feeling is so relatable.
So it's like I really would like to join tours, but given the environment and how my playstyle and my mentality is kind of really not fit for that type of environment, it's looking like things are about to be the same, where I just enter a few tours and that's it.
Yeah, it'll always be a good show to watch when you ever do show up.
Thank you. As for future plans, I do plan to keep making combo videos, of course. SSF2 is like one of my favorite games, so the content I make for it will keep coming. I want to make more combo videos, and also I want to make more analytical type of videos.
Dude, that would be amazing.
But like talking about movement in this game, or for example, and this is one that I've been thinking about, it's talking about like Falcon's every move or something.
Like everything about them, or
well, it's like not everything about them, like on the technical level. Like I won't talk about like, oh, this has whatever base knockback and however much knockback growth, because
like the interesting things about them.
It's like imagine like if I were to like kind of make an exposition about every single one of his moves.
Yeah. Okay.
Every single one of his moves, what types of uses they have, what creative uses they can have, and stuff.
Mm-hmm. One more question. You know, you being the number one Falcon in all, what are your opinions on him overall? Like, whether he's good or not, or like just how good he is or just how bad he is, and like other matchups and stuff like that.
Most people that know me know that I joke a lot about Falcon being bottom one because F-Zero is beyond saving at this point. But I, of course, I think Falcon's a really, really good character. It's just that he is a very swingy character. He's an extreme type of character where he can be on both ends of the extreme basically any day. I think that like his main weaknesses are that sometimes his approach game can be kind of predictable or one-dimensional sometimes, where he's always kind of forced to approach at the same angle or use like the same options every single time.
Yeah. Luckily they're pretty good, so it's
not
too bad, but it's definitely a big flaw. If somebody really adapts hard, it could be hard. Yeah,
because like every single one of Falcon's moves, like it covers like this one area in front of him, and some characters have the speed to both get out of that range or get out of that threat range, or either have the more competent range to beat his moves with. The thing is that with Falcon, there's no, like, for every situation Falcon loses, there's always a way, like he could have won it, or he could have kept neutral going and stuff like that. He's like the character with probably like really hard things to overcome, but he can always overcome them.
All right, Astral. I think that comes to an end. Thank you for talking with me, man. Just curious about everything about the tournament. You know, your future. I'm just curious.
Thank you. Even like regardless of what my mentality is, like this tour, I'm still proud of it, even to this day. Obviously, it's not something that like I'm very excited about, but I feel good about it.
Yeah.
In my eyes, I finally accomplished what a competitor should do.